Hey everybody, what's happening? I'm Tommy and you are on the lifeboat. Charlie Muffins, what's happening, my brother? Charlie, does it seem like old times or what? Back there yesterday, gaffling on fish. We've been through a few of these, haven't we? Charlie's never missed one of the foul fish that any Scoville has done, for that matter. Shelly Kelly, good to see you. Caitlin, how are ya? Glad that you're here. Universal One, good to have you. Hey, Darcy, what's happening? Naomi Hales, good to see you. Kestrel 42. Laura Lou, what's happening? Hey, Jack Court, Meredith Lynn. Good to see you, Meredith Lynn. Hope you're having a good day. Layla, how are you, Layla Bradley? The back is on the mend. It truly is. Galen, good to see you. Nurse Holly, how are you? Hey, Emma Fenn, you caught a lie. It's the lifeboat. What's up, Al? You know, we're going to do this show here. Malvakai, Ann Brown, how are you? Ika Pika? Ika Pika Boo. Kiki Cookerson, how are you? Verona Cooley, good to see you. Megan Jeffrey, what's happening? All my ducks in a row. Well, you're the only person here. That's okay, though. We just don't seem to keep our ducks in a row. I'm trying. I truthfully am trying. Monica Larimore. Diane, good to see you. Love Boston. Love that. Love that. Barbara Aldrich, good to see you. I'm a big fan of Boston. Beantown. Today would have been your mom's 80th birthday. Please do something kind for someone in her memory. What a beautiful thing to say, Kestrel. What a beautiful thing to say, man. I love that. Now I'll pray. Newer subscriber. Spanky did great this morning, didn't he? My kid's a hoot, man. He was so funny yesterday. Lisa Trimble, how are you, my friend? Naomi Hales, good to see you. Me and my cat. Glad you're here. Yeah, Spanky, that was tough yesterday, man. Caddy, good to see you. Rachel, how are you? Nicole, good to see you. Hey, Joanne. Scooby Lee. Motherbird. Carol O. Diane, Leanne, and Joanne. Holy hell, you guys couldn't have come in a better order. Joe MC, good to see you. Hobo. Good to see you. Hey, Bill Herrera, let's get this thing underway, shall we? I'll tell you what, peeps. Maybe we'll wait a minute. I do want to get a couple of people here because this is one of those shows, man. The Arabian Bard, good to see you. True Crime Boozer, how are you? Carlos, good to see you. Lioness Lou, namaste, good to see you. So look, peeps, this is where we're at, unfortunately. I hate this stuff. I really do. This is not my forte. I don't like talking about drama of any kind, but sometimes, and we're going to get more of it. It's just how it is. Hey, Carlos G, good to see you. This is one of those situations, folks, that we talked about. And I said at the time that, you know what? When the truth comes out, I'll be more than happy to comment on it. The truth is out. There's no way around this anymore. Barbara Aldrich, how are ya? Glad you're here. Hey, Renee B. Moi Freestyle Life. Well, there you go. We'll toss that up there for you. Oh, Ann Brown, I love that. Ann Brown asked, do you think it's possible somebody could hack into the court CCTV? I doubt it. That would be awesome, though, wouldn't it? But I don't think we're going to have that. I don't even think that those things are on an internet. I think that they're intranet or whatever. Like they're cut off from being able to do that stuff. But that would just be awesome. On the bright side, I think I'm going to try to be there. I was right. This is why people shouldn't just believe all so-called victims and have discernment. From a mile away, you can see she is a strag, and wealthy men often do hook up with busted chicks. I may take a slightly different stance than that, but I understand what you're saying. As a man, I was talking to my girl about this today. But as a man, I'm going to err always. I'm always going to err on the side of I'm going to believe victims. And as I've said every time this has been brought up, I'm going to my microphone's cutting in and out. Is anyone else having that problem, or just Great Dane Mom? So this is I have male equipment. And as a guy, I'm never going to tell a woman that something that she's saying happened to her didn't happen to her. It's never going to come out of my mouth. Not. Now, I will back up, right? I will just withdraw from the situation and not talk about it. And when people brought this up, I said, I think, You can go back and listen. And what I said is, hey, this is one of those situations where I'm going to defer to believing the victim or the alleged victim or whatever the case may be. Now, I'll be honest, very early on, there were some holes in the story. Now, if you're brand new to this, let me try to bring you up to speed here. Let's see if we can do it. Well, I never do more than one thing at a time. So, if you remember, there was a show on the Lionel B show, and the purpose of the show was to talk about this individual. There's about 5 or 6 pictures of this person sitting on Diddy's lap. This is Jane Doe. This Jane Doe filed a lawsuit in 2023, alleging that she was picked up, transported to New York, where she was taken to Daddy's house. That was the name of Sean Combs' recording studio. She was taken to Daddy's house, at which time she was assaulted by Diddy and Harv Pierre. This is what is alleged by the victim who filed the lawsuit under the name Jane Doe, right? Misha came out and said, this is me. You saw the girl in the Dolce & Gabbana shirt. That was me. Diddy asked me to put that shirt on, sit on his lap, this and that. And then she told a story that was wildly reminiscent of a movie called Blink Twice. Now, this is a film that was made. It was written by that lady right there, and that lady is Zoe Kravitz. Zoe Kravitz came out with the movie Blink Twice in 2017. She claims that it was based on the Me Too movement. But that's not what Misha said, right? I'm sorry, not Misha. That's not what Adria English said. Adria English, who has been acting as a sort of almost a like best friend / spokesperson / manager for Misha. And she said, yeah, she had a deal with the director or this. That's all complete horse feces. It never happened. And the problem becomes when lies begin to stack up. I want to believe the victims. I always want to believe the victims. And I will defer and stick with, I think there's probably some trauma there. We saw some tears that people are saying were crocodile tears. I'm never going to say that either. I'm sorry. Those look real to me. They really did. I think that perhaps there is something legit. Every film and novel is bad on someone's truth. Yeah. I was in prison with a guy who said, they wrote this movie about me. And everybody in the prison called this guy by the character of the film's first name. And this big crime thing was all about him. And everything about this dude smelled bad. Like the first second I met him. So I called home to Johnny Scoville and I said, hey, can you look up a movie and tell me when it was made? And he said, sure. Now, I didn't think it would be that easy, but I figured that's a good launching spot, right? Well, he had been in prison for 3 years, right? The film was made when this kid was about 7. Absolutely horse feces. He's like, yeah, they made the film about it. I'm like, dude, that film is 15 to 20 years old. He's like, no, I just came out with it. I said, no, man, I called my brother. But the point being, once you stop believing someone on anything, then it's very difficult to believe them on anything. Misha came out and did a show on the Lionel B program. And this was after the fact. This is after we found out that right there is Jane Doe. Right? That is Jane Doe. That is the girl in the Dolce & Gabbana sleeveless shirt. This woman, Anna Kane, filed a lawsuit in 2023. And in that lawsuit, she alleged exactly what Misha was saying happened to her, as if she borrowed this woman's story. A lot of people jumped on this right off the bat because of the lawsuit and when the time happened, right? This was a very old, she's a lovely woman. But this was filed in 2023. When she went on, she being Misha, when she went on the Lionel B show, she said that no, she didn't have any lawsuits, that she had tried talking to people, but because this was the narrative, because she lied about her age to the police, they threw the entire thing out. I'm going to tell you something. I don't buy that for a second. I'm sorry. I don't. You know what I mean? There's so many kids lie about their age. They don't want to get in trouble for this or for that. That is standard operating procedure. I promise you, most kids that get in front of cops lie about their age. But speaking of lying about the age, her narrative has changed from 13 to 15 to 17. The new narrative is this. She's the girl on the table. She's not the girl in the Dolce & Gabbana shirt, right? That wasn't true. But she is the girl on the table that they were eating sushi off of. There's a problem with that. That's been debunked. The girl on that table, we already know who that is. It's not Misha. Now you got 2 of these things and then 3 of these things. And when these start stacking up, it gets very difficult to believe the rest of it. Now, I have gotten emails. There's a bunch of you. You've left comments in the chat about Lionel B. I don't talk about content creators. I don't. It's not something that I do. I think it's bad form. It's people do that crap to get clicks. And I have absolutely no desire to talk about anybody that creates content. However, he did a show and he came out and said, hey, you know what? What we do as content creators, we platform people and we very often have to do it in good faith, right? Very often we have to do it in good faith. Hello, Anna. Good to see you. Hey, Donna, what's happening? Diana, good to see you. Happy you're here. We do these things in good faith and sometimes we get burned, right? Sometimes somebody comes in and they're not truthful. Krista Melinda, good to see you. What do you do then, right? And I agree with him. This plagues us. This is Lionel B. You guys know who Lionel B is. And by the way, I'm a fan of Lionel B. Before anybody, I'm a fan of Lionel B. I really am. In fact, you guys will probably remember that when he came out and said, hey, I'll give you I'm going to give you a strike. I promise you I'm going to go after you for a copyright strike if you guys use this. I defended him. I said, if they're trying to kind of keep tight reins on what's happening with this girl's story. And I can respect that, right? I honestly, I understand where he's coming on that. I defended him. I thought, no, I get that. However, when he just made a video where they came out and admitted that Anna Kane is the person in that, it's hard not to, right? This is now absolute fact. There's no way to debate this anymore. So he came out and he did a show with Misha. And in that show, Misha said, I am the girl on the table. I'm sorry about the confusion. I completely concur that as a content creator, we put people on in good faith. And sometimes we put people on. I'll tell you a story. I had a guy that did probably 25 shows with us who talked about sobriety. And he came on one day and talked about losing his dad. And it was a horrific show. He had lost his father that day, and he had not had a good relationship with him because of a lifetime of abusive alcohol consumption. And then about 3 or 4 weeks later, he was back on the show, and we said, you missed us the other day. He said, yeah, I had to give my dad a ride to the airport. And nobody in the comments section said anything. At the time, I had a partner, and I texted him, and I said, does he have a stepdad? What is he talking about? I put a guy on that lied to the entire world for a dozen, maybe a baker's dozen shows, a couple hours each. I put the guy on in good faith. He was incredible. He was really a lot of fun to listen to. Unfortunately, nothing he said was true. That can happen. Now, depending on who you believe, if Adria English is to be believed, Lionel B is her manager. I think that starts getting a little bit stranger, right? I mean, if it's one thing if you just, hey, fancy face, Blue Water's good to see you. It's one thing if you're just going to platform somebody. If you're going to give somebody an opportunity to come on and tell their story, I think that's all right. That's fantastic. If you decide that you're going to represent that person, I don't know. And you know what? I don't know that he's representing her either, because nothing that these people have said has turned out to be true. But let me tell you the problem with this. This is the problem with this. And I know the obvious problems. It's going to make people doubt everybody else, right? It's going to make people doubt everybody else. It shouldn't. Name a victim in this that's doing a press tour. Name somebody that was essayed by Diddy that's doing a press tour. There's 128 people so far that we know that have been suing Diddy in civil court. Can you tell me one of them? Can you tell me a show that any one of them has gone on to do an interview? No attorney's going to let you do that, right? Now, I understand there are people for whatever reason can't go to court and they want their story heard. I get that. I do. But we really got to be careful. We really got to be careful. So we saw videos last week of people going to other people's houses and they were showing up and saying, hey, you're making a lot of content against Diddy. Do you remember this? A lot of content creators of the 100,000 subscribers and above, silver play button kind of shows, people that get a lot of views, were visited by who knows who, the Men in Black. People that were showing up and saying, hey, you're making a lot of Diddy content. Are people paying you to do that? Because if you would be willing to change the content you're doing, maybe we could pay you, right? This was alleged to have been going on all last week. Now, I'm not suggesting, right, that anybody has, but you start going, I wonder how many people said, yeah, I'll crank some content out. What is it you want us to do? Because there are people now who are making videos, right, alleging that these two are plants, that these two work for Diddy, that this was done to muddy the waters and to cloud the waters. And you know what? Whether or not there is a shred of truth to that, can you understand why people would think so? There are people out there who are already alleging that content creators are taking big checks to now start making the water muddy. It doesn't take a lot to really, really mess up a story like this, right? What we want more than anything is for the people in this, the Jane Does and the people like Cassie Ventura who come forward. We don't want them harassed by the world. We don't want them treated like it's 1950 and having people ask them what they wore that day. But when you have people who come forward and tell stories that turn out not to be validated, or if they come out and tell a story that belongs to somebody else, I want to tell you something. I bowed out of having anything to do with any of those individuals. I didn't do shows on them. I didn't talk about them. And it stopped when I watched Misha talk about a woman who looked like a witch putting snake venom into her drinks and everybody else's drinks. I've seen that too, right? That was in a film. If you guys, and I'm not a big movie goer, but this was in Blink Twice, right? This is the script from Blink Twice. And Zoe says, it's got nothing to do with any of that. I wrote that. It had nothing to do with this woman. I don't know who this woman is. At that point, I was like, that's disturbing. And I sat there saying, you know what? I don't know. Maybe Zoe Kravitz decided to, maybe she decided to talk to these people, hear their stories. And that's how she came up with this, movie plot. Since then, big people have traced her down and asked her what's up. And no, this was a statement about the Me Too movement is what the script was written about, according to her. But damn, you start feeling guilty as a human being for doubting somebody because you can see that they're in pain, but they're telling you a freaking movie script. And what's funny is, not funny, haha. Allison Metcalf Palumbo, good to see you. Hey, Ann Brown. These two individuals viciously started attacking other people who are already kind of in the Diddyverse, right? Now we've got a lot of people who are screaming that Jaguar's full of this, or Misha says this about Jaguar, or the two of them arguing. When Jaguar went on that show and said, I don't know this woman. This woman's never met me. Everybody really wanted to crap down Jaguar Wright's throat, but can you understand where she was coming from? She was watching this girl going, I know that isn't that girl in the D&G shirt. I know it's not. It's also very different. I'm sorry. We live in a world that, there shouldn't be any real difference between the sexes. Guess what? There's huge difference between the sexes. As a guy, I could never come out here and start saying that girl didn't get R-worded. That girl didn't get SA. Can you imagine me doing a show like that? I have no desire, by the way. I would never want to do that. You know what? Word of the day. And that's completely okay. That's completely okay. The Jaguar Wright has said things I cannot wrap my dome around. But as I've said many times on here before, if you went back 5 years and asked me for a list of things that Jaguar said that I thought were nuts, it would be a much bigger list. right? Because over the last 5 years, a lot of the things that she started talking about are actually coming true. And look, what happened with this woman claiming to be Anna Kane, who she most assuredly is not. This weakens the truth. It does. It damages the truth. Prior to these two ladies making some claims that are really suspect, prior to that, we didn't really have anybody out there that we could point to and go, see, just a couple people trying to get paid on this. Told you this was going to happen. How do we know any of these other girls aren't just like these people? Do you see why this is dangerous? For real? This is dangerous. And I hate this crap, man. I really truthfully hate this crap. I want to see this dude put under the jail. Anything that's taken away from that, especially if in the back of your head, even for a hot second, you could think to yourself, hey, maybe this was a plant. Maybe this was a setup. She got a lot of views, man. She got a lot of views. And allegedly, there are content creators out there alleging she also had a GoFundMe page or two. You know, this is sad stuff. This is what we don't need happening. Well, there's a lot of truth to that. As a criminal and a drug addict, I spent decades unable to break out of a cycle that I just continued to do again and again and again and again. And I had to move away from where I was. I had to completely 100% just move away. I had to blow out all of my friends. I had to change people, places, friends, and me, right? Me being the biggest thing that needed changing. But the only way to change me was to get rid of the people that I hung out with. It got real easy because the last time I went to prison, they all died. Not being funny in any way. There's nothing humorous. I'm dead serious. They all overdosed. The only person that didn't got into a horrific car wreck and spent a really long time in the hospital. And when he had left the hospital, he was on Suboxone and it changed his life. Rachel, good to see you. Diddy can pay for people to go lie. Just to throw that out there. Look at the grifters. I'm telling you. In the 90s, a friend told me that a friend went to New York and met Diddy. And he was, yeah. You thought this guy was full of it? It's funny. It's funny how stories that we never would have believed. The idea, so I'll tell you one that I'm working on right now. One that I'm working on right now is the Aaron Carter angle. Aaron Carter's association with Sean Combs, his problems with the industry in general, and but if I were to have gone back when that kid was a star and said to you, Sean Combs allegedly is Usher, right? Justin Bieber, Aaron Carter, right? Sean Combs, the guy that owns Bad Boy Records, yeah, he's been diddling these kids and others. Allegedly. Hey, Robin Miners, how are you? You would have gone, nah. I would have gone, nah. It's interesting that none of the vocal women allegedly have testified in front of the grand jury. Isn't that odd? But again, this has been my experience, especially vis-a-vis the Sean Combs case. If you've got a case against Sean Combs, every single person that has a case against them hired an attorney. The attorney has gone and filed the lawsuit, and they went, gone. The exception to this rule, right? The exception to this rule, and not because she wanted to be the exception to this rule, but Anna Kane kind of got pressured into being the exception, didn't she? Right? And not just by the court systems, I assure you, but by Misha. She filed this lawsuit under the name Jane Doe. Guess why? Because she doesn't want the world to look at her and go, oh, she was manhandled by Harv Pierre and Diddy. That's an embarrassment to someone who's endured that. But I'll tell you what, she said they're trying to bully me again with this name thing. So I'm Anna, and she stepped out and said, You're not gonna cower me. You're not gonna back me down. That's not gonna happen. And I have mad respect for this woman. I really do. For her to say, all right, I got to file with my name. Here's my name. I'm Anna Kane. Let's do this. Honestly, Mad respect. A lot of my heroes are Jane Does. And when they have to step forward and do and put their name out, I watched the Jane Does get up and do that at Danny Masterson's sentencing, and it was honestly, it was one of those moments that made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. And yes, I have hair on the back of my neck. Oh man, you know something? This is the smartest audience on all of YouTube. But man, I said the same thing. Can anyone imagine what Anna was going through when Misha hit the airwaves? Horrible. Watching somebody who looks this much like you, telling stories that the time frames, nothing on the story was right. And she's sitting there having to listen to this. And not just, hey, that's me in the picture. No, all of it. Going to, and this is my problem, people. This is my problem. How is this not a setup? Well, there were some mistakes made. No, you took a lawsuit, you read it, and then said it was yours. That's not a mistake. I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm really not. But that's not a mistake. To say, here's the mistake. Yeah, you know what? There's a picture of me somewhere with him in a D&G shirt. There's a picture of me in a shirt, wearing a shirt like that. And I may have confused that was me. Could you ever look at a picture and say, yep, that's me? If it's not, I'm telling you, I don't buy that. I really don't. I don't buy that. But aside from that, it was Harv Pierre and Diddy. You got picked up, flown there. It is her story. I can't imagine what she was going through when that happened. Christy Hughes. This time it's a different POS. I really want something great to happen in this woman's life. I really do. I want something great to happen in this woman's life. I don't want it to happen as a scam. And I don't want it to water down a case that is way more important than just a really cool thing to talk about on YouTube. Make no mistake, this is a powerhouse on YouTube. You're right. Yeah, Rip says they need to prosecute Diddy and all others swiftly. They do. Kevin Hawthorne, good to see you. They absolutely do. And this kind of garbage clouds the water, right? It really does. It muddies the water. It makes everything cloudy. This is not what we need at all. Oh, yeah, no. Anna Kane has a wildly controversial past. Nevertheless, that's her in the photos, right? Even Misha isn't denying that that's Anna Kane in the photos. I'm not telling you Anna Kane is she does have an odd past. She also had a very, very ugly divorce from a guy who plays hockey, and a lot of really weird allegations that came out during that. But it's got nothing to do with what we're talking about, in that it is her in that picture. No one is, even the woman that claimed that was her in the picture is no longer claiming it's her in the picture. She filed this lawsuit because of what happened to her when she was 17 years old. I think she's got a right to do that. Guess what? If she went out there and said, let's do this, and wanted to, she was 17 years old. So there's just no ability to consent at 7. I'm sorry. I really am. There is no ability to consent at that. Cajun Queen, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And you look great in green. Oh, Dub, I am so sorry. Can we get some thoughts and prayers for Dub's family? My goodness. This is kind of a gray area. You know what I mean? This is kind of a gray area. I guess I don't know that she got money, right? There are people alleging that. I can't back that in any way, shape, or form. But there are people who are saying that she ran a couple of GoFundMes and she got some cash coming in which case she absolutely could be charged with fraud. Now, if no money changed hands, I don't know what the threshold is for fraud. In order to perpetrate a fraud, I think it has to be done for the purpose to try to get money. If you're just out there lying your ass off, I mean, you're a politician, right? Everybody does that. I'm not sure that she could get in trouble for that kind of fraud. But if cash is getting wired and sent, yeah, wire fraud's no joke. Like if you're getting money that way, they will absolutely throw the book at you. Britt K. I got such a smart audience. I got such a smart audience. Spoiler alert. Anna may have a checkered past because of what happened to her. Well, I'll tell you something, people. Prison is full of guys that got molested. Prison is absolutely full of people that got molested. It's one of the reasons that that chomos are treated so poorly in prison is because there's a ton of people in there that survived that, and they didn't get into prison because of any other reason. That kind of survival causes a lot of guys to really go off in the wrong directions. These victims need some serious trauma therapy. Ding, 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 ding. That, Lucinda, my friend, is probably the comment of the day. These people need massive amounts of trauma therapy. Absolutely 100%. These people really, really need that. Hold on one sec. Aha. Hurt people, says Lioness Lou, and that's absolutely a fact. And I'll tell you something. Very often, we see people that look like they're completely 100% put together. You know what I'm saying? Like, we see people on red carpets, and we see people with big smiles on their face, and they look glamorous, and they look happy. This person, allegedly, was SA'd by two men on the same day. And we know, everybody wants to speculate, and we can talk about people's past. We can talk about whatever. But if somebody wanted to show up and have sex with Sean Combs, I don't think that would flip his switch. I straight up do not believe for a hot second that would flip his switch. This is not a guy that wants to have consensual sex. This is a guy who gets his rocks off knowing that the person is doing something they don't want to do. That's his get down, right? He can't enjoy it any other way. That's my humble opinion on this. He uses chemicals on everybody. Absolutely. She is absolutely the ex-wife of Evander Kane, and she did sue him too. No, she didn't sue him for SA. That's not my my understanding is that the problems that she had with him were related more toward domestic violence. And you know what? Evander Kane is $36 million in debt and allegedly gambling on his own sport, right? So there's a lot there. But once again, let's not get into the weeds because it doesn't matter. The girl in the photo was 17. She is Anna Kane. Right? All bets are off. She got flown from one place to another, right? If she had intercourse and was into it, that's our word. That's SA. These are two grown men that flew a girl across state lines to a recording studio to SA her at 17. So she could become whatever happens after that, right? I mean, I was a pretty epic dirtbag. Things happen to you and cause you to go down some dark paths and end up in some bad places. But this happened to a 17-year-old girl. What that did to her, who knows? I mean, who knows? But I hope she gets justice. I really hope she gets justice, and she deserves it in more than one way, right? For real. I would like her to get justice because of what Sean Combs did to her, but to have your story paraded around the entire world by somebody other than you had to be excruciating. Don't you agree? Honestly, don't you think that had to be, just absolutely awful. It's getting very difficult to know who to believe. May I make a suggestion on that? Honestly, I am starting to learn, especially vis-a-vis the Diddyverse. People that never say, I don't know, are terrifying. I've watched interviews with people, and I don't care what the question that is asked is. I don't care what the question is. It's going to come out with an answer, and very often the answer is going to be, it's going to raise the bar I'm not saying anyone's lying, but I'm saying that every single answer is a little bit more extreme than the answer before it. That kind of stuff makes me nervous. That kind of stuff really makes me nervous. But I love hearing, like Sean Atwood, like him, don't like him, whatever. Sean Atwood, one of the first times we ever did a show together, somebody in the audience asked, what about so-and-so, and put a name up there. And he said, yeah, I don't have any idea who that is. Do you know who that is, Tommy? I said, no, I've never heard of that name. When the show was over, I said to him, I'm going to list you 5 names of people that I guarantee you would have answered that, even if they didn't know who the person was. And that's a problem. And it's something that's happening in this. And do you know why it's happening in this? Because we're running out of crap to talk about, right? I'm not, I have a lot of other stuff that we talk about, but we are getting thin on things to talk about. And people, look at this from a criminal's mindset, right? Let me bring in the I'm a convict perspective on this. If you're not living large, but you spent a decent amount of your life breaking the law, and you spend this much time on the big red button, this is an opportunity like nothing you've ever seen, right? There's a book that came out, Kim Porter's book. They sold it twice, right? Sold it the first time with X's over people's names. Second time, no X's over people's names. And to this day, nobody can tell us whether or not the book is real, right? But we're talking about millions, right? That got made selling this puppy. Why? Because this is the story of the century. And it's not hard to create a story about this. So here you've got this picture that's sort of circulating around the internet. And every time somebody brings up someone underage, well, here's a picture of somebody that's underage, because a Jane Doe filed a lawsuit, right, in 2023, alleging that Harve Pierre and the diddler, you know the story, you've heard it twice. Once from the Jane Doe and once from the real Jane Doe. I have no animosity toward Misha. I hope Misha gets some help. She came out and said in the last interview, she's like, there's nothing wrong with me mentally. If you come out and tell someone else's story and pass it off as your own, there is something wrong. There is. That's just a horrific thing to do. And we're not talking about, a phishing story. We're not talking about, somebody that ate more than somebody else. We're talking about horrific things to steal from someone's life and claim as your own. Hey, Russ, how are you? Yeah, here, Motherbird. I'm sorry. Let me back up here. You know what, Motherbird? I want to see more of those as well, right? I thank you again, Robert Hall. I want to see more of the lawsuits coming up. My fear is the reason that we're not seeing more of the lawsuits coming up is because a lot of these people are settling. And we don't want to see any of this settle. Damn it, we want to know who these people are. We want them paraded downtown, right? I want a perp walk. I want to know who these dirtbags are, and I want the world to talk about them. However, I'm not the victim. If you're the victim in this lawsuit and you file, right, and they come and say, $400,000, this goes away today. And that victim thinks, I don't want to go to trial. You know what I mean? This is, I've been living with this for so long. I haven't been able to work. I haven't been able to get 400,000 out the door and I'm gone. Yeah, let's do that. We don't want that to happen because we feel like it obviously is giving the pass to the scumbag, right? Or whoever these stars there that were witnessing this or whatever. But I think there's a lot of settling going on. I think there's a lot of stuff I think there are deals getting made. And that's just an opinion, folks. No one's telling me that is taking place. But boy, I feel like Busby is making bank. He's going to buy another tank. Well, he'll be able to afford it. He'll definitely be able to afford it. TMZ has to be running out of content. Well, that's what happens when everybody's afraid to go outside, right? Nobody wants to answer anybody's questions, man. I agree with you, Rip Curl. He says 400K isn't worth your mental health. I mean, I get that. Chester's mom, good to see you. Chester's mom, that's a beautiful thing, isn't it? Only a mother. I want what is best for the victims, not gossip. That's solid. It really is. And I want what's best for the victims, but I want the sons of bitches that were there watching, right, and not doing anything about it. I want to know who they are. I really do. I don't want the victims to have to suffer for that to happen, but I don't want the Leonardo DiCaprios of the world. And I'm not saying Leo did anything, but I don't want the Leonardo DiCaprios of the world to just go, I'll just go to Italy for a year, wait till this die down, and then I'll come back home. Or the Ellen DeGeneres of the world, who will just go buy a country estate in the Cotswold and not have to worry about it. I find that distressing, man. I find that distressing. But I understand where you're coming from. I really do. I understand where you're coming from. So let's recap if you just got here. Misha is not the girl in the Dolce & Gabbana shirt. We already knew that. The girl in the Dolce & Gabbana shirt is a woman by the name of Anna Kane. She was married to a professional hockey player. They're in the process of getting divorced, or they're already divorced. It was kind of contentious and ugly. But nevertheless, this is a woman who at 17 alleges that she was SA'd by Sean Combs and Harve Pierre, and this took place at Big Daddy's recording studio in New York. For all intents and purposes, sorry, every once in a while, Johnny Scoville, do the right thing. Every once in a while, people, I feel for this woman. 17 years of age, you're SA'd by two people, and it's done to you with a chemical. And when that chemical wears off, you remember bits and pieces of what happened to you, but you don't really understand how it happened, these people usually crawl into themselves. They suffer in silence, and they start to age at incredibly fast rates, psychologically and emotionally. When your vagus nerve is turned on all the time, and that's what happens. That's why therapy is so damn important, right? It's not just us saying, hey, man, maybe these people should get some therapy. Most of us here, especially on the boat, are pretty jacked up. I do more therapy than anyone on earth. I do a bunch of it, and I'm an absolute firm believer in it. She is very attractive, Christy. She's a beautiful, beautiful girl, but a survivor. And I know that there are people that, there are a lot of people online that hate her, plain and simple. There are reasons that people pick. The very contentious divorce of the athlete that she was married to. But give you another great example. Conor McGregor just got dinged again, and I'm going to be doing a full show about this, but Conor McGregor just got dinged again by the courts. Do you remember when I came on and I did the Conor McGregor show and I said, let me read you what he said in a tweet right after he left court? He bagged on the court. He said the victim was full of crap, all this stuff. Not a great idea to do over there. They fined him over £1 million for that. And he's in some financial trouble. He's really not in great shape. But there are guys with YouTube channels, good size YouTube channels, that are coming out saying that girl's full of crap. She was seen in a picture touching, what's his name's arm and holding his arm as they were going out the door after it happened. She had a tampon removed with forceps. I think she just decided to leave that in for the adventure. The paramedic said it was as bad a beatdown as he had ever seen. The bruises on her bodies. People get really wrapped up in stuff like, well, I've been watching this guy fight for so long, dude. I love Conor McGregor. He'd never do anything like that. It's really, we get irrational sometimes because we like this person or we like that person. And it goes the other direction. If Ashton Kutcher saved a busload of children tomorrow, I would still hate the guy. For real. I look at him. This is an opinion, by the way. Right? I'm not saying the guy's a dirtbag. I'm saying my opinion of the guy is he's a dirtbag. Right? You hope Aaron Carter gets some justice. I'm not sure that that's going to happen. I hope it does too. Boy, that's a great. Dan C. obviously knows who this man is. Conor McGregor is a classic case of somebody who never learned to keep his mouth shut. And you know what? I hate to jump up on a soapbox. It's 2024. You live any way you want. But allegedly what Conor McGregor did that night, even if it had been consensual, and I don't believe for a second that you get that kind of bruising from consensual sex. I'm pretty rowdy, and I'm not a small guy. I don't bruise anybody up. But regardless, allegedly he was cheating on someone else that night. You know what? If you just do not cheat on your mate ever, there are so many great things you're going to get to avoid in life, right? The paparazzi showing up and saying, hey, I got a picture of you with a 19-year-old. What does your 45-year-old wife think of that? All of that crap could be avoided if you just don't marry somebody if you're not ready to stay faithful to them. Seems like a pretty simple concept. We call that truthy. When something is so damn true that no amount of facts is ever going to make it otherwise. You find it a lot during political campaigns. The hubris and privilege extends to sports. You're damn right it does. In fact, ain't no party like a Diddy party. Just ask that big, tall guy that looks so good in a French maid's outfit. Hey, don't judge me. It's low-hanging fruit. LeBron James, you know him. Rona Cooley says Conor is an animal. And you know what? I'm not going to fight you on this one. I don't think he's a good dude. Kim says, I don't think it was, he is innocent. I don't believe for 1 second it was consensual. Once again, I don't think he was innocent. And I've lived a pretty rowdy life. You know what I mean? For real. I'm 6'2". I'm 200 and some change. If I'm not bruising the hell out of people, I don't understand why he would. He's a lot smaller than I am. For real. Conor's not a heavyweight. That none of that makes sense, man. It just does not make sense. Why, thank you. Reese, good to see you, babe. Glad that you're here. Thanks for stopping by. Oh, tonight, Night Yard. You don't want to miss it. Tony Suter, good to see you, my friend. Tony Suter, I want you to know that that metal device, it will not take the smell of Systroming off of your hands. However, you can never get the smell of Systroming off of the metal. I'm kidding. I wasn't even willing to try it because I want to use it for legitimate stuff, and I was afraid that the Systroming would eat a hole through the stainless steel. Really bad stuff. Absolutely 100%. Timothy Glass says, if Busby is making money to keep stories and names quiet, couldn't they still be brought out during the Diddy trial? You bet. The prosecution in the Diddy case can go to Busby and say, I want a list of every single one of these lawsuits. I want to see everybody that has accused him with the use of chemicals. I want to see everybody that's under the age of 19. I want to see everybody that's a woman. They can do anything they want, and Busby's going to turn it over to them. Now, I don't believe for a second that Busby is taking crimes and letting them get settled. You understand the difference? Most of these lawsuits are past the statutes of limitations. So they're not going to be brought, there's no criminal charges that are going to be brought up on that. The exception to that is if the person's underage, then you can charge them a long time after that crap, right? I don't think he's cutting deals where Diddy's getting out of trouble. I think he's cutting deals for people that were in the room watching someone get SA'd. So technically, they may not have been SAing anybody, or they may not have been R-wording anybody, but they're just as much of a scumbag, and they need to be prosecuted. I think that that's probably where he's taking cash. And again, just an opinion. Moy Freestyle, I was an epic man whore for a lot of years. But after a lot of therapy, I've come to realize that, I don't know, I think that a lot of us are monogamous. I think that there are people who don't live monogamous lives because they're unhappy with who they are. And that ability to close the deal, so to speak, makes them feel like they're not a scumbag for 48 hours, 72 hours, whatever. If this person would go home with me, I can't be that bad. Like that kind of a mindset, I think that actually affects a lot of people. It's just, it becomes like another drug. It's one more way to not feel uncomfortable in your skin for a period of time. And like any other drug, when you first start being promiscuous, you cheat on your mate or you go out and you do a one-night stand, and for a month you feel like, I'm I'm a normal guy. I feel normal about myself, or I'm a normal one, or whatever. And, once a month. And then the next year, it's a couple of times a month. And then it gets to a point where you're Sean Combs. That fool didn't start out. He was just like a serial killer, allegedly. If you look at everything that is alleged, it started out really slow. It's not like, so the first suit that we see, right? The first alleged assault that we see, he was a freshman in college, right? So what is that, 18, 19 years old? But there isn't a crop of them from then. There's like a spattering. And then as it got closer and closer to today, he was like a serial killer. Out of control, man. Out of control. And like a serial killer, he was taking trophies and collecting trophies. Yeah. I'm a better kisser for it. I kiss almost no one. I'm not much of a kisser. Getting your ego massaged once a month. I mean, yeah, basically. I mean, there are a lot of people for whom that's what being promiscuous was. It's a way to stroke your ego, so to speak, and your ego. He is the serial. You're absolutely right. Yes, I do, Cribs. Yes, I do. He is the serial killer. You're right. You're right, Cajun Queen. He absolutely, allegedly. Did you hear that, Mr. Combs? Allegedly, in my humble opinion, you're a serial killer. And it started with that unfortunate accident at SUNY when all those kids at the college died. Kids just wanted to go out and have a good time seeing some rappers play in a celebrity basketball game, only to find themselves dead while he just walked out of there like there was no big deal. Tonight, Night Yard on the Lifeboat. It will be myself. It will be my friend Russ Allen. And it will also be my friend Casper. We will be talking all things incarcerational. If it's not a word, it should be. Somebody write that down. Right? There are so many loose ends in this case. It is remarkable, right? You can, and Lucinda brings up a great point. You can point to so many different things where you go, there was a drive-by shooting, right? But the blood's in the bathroom inside. They claim that, dude. Nothing makes sense. You go, how are the police that bad? Right? I am of the firm belief that Sean Diddy Combs was not only a rat. It depends, I think. I think it depends. Sorry. Get out the wood chipper. That's the spirit. Good to see you. Glad that you're here. Yeah, the problem, it gets hard with the witness thing. It really does. Very often, not even the witnesses who are there can witness, right? These chemicals make things really, really difficult. Very often the stories come out and it's a person saying, I don't know what happened to me last night, but I woke up and there's problems. These marks on my body, I don't know how I got these, but it could not have been any other way but bad. And there's, according to Busby, more than half of the people that are suing went to the hospital. That disturbs me, people. I can't tell you everything in the case. What the most disturbing part of this entire case to me is the number of people that went to the police and the number of people that went to the hospital. If anywhere along the line, one law enforcement official got this right, but everybody was intimidated by the billionaire. That's it, right? He paid his way out of everything, allegedly. Either that or he's just such a stand-up guy that they occasionally hang his pictures, allegedly, in precinct houses throughout New York and in LA. More terrifying not to remember. Yeah. I have partied on these substances. I mean, I was always trying to feel comfortable in my own skin. I did G, like I did GHB. It was a great way to go to sleep at one time in my life. But it really does a number on your memory. Even if you mix alcohol with it, forget it. You're not going to remember squat. But if you don't mix alcohol with it, you get really splotchy memory, and you feel like you got a head injury. V. McWilliams, good to see you. I hope you're hanging in there. Glad you're here. Oh, Blue Waters. I mean, it's impossible. I honestly started thinking about this the other day. The number of victims. Normally when you think about predators, you think about, let's say the person, they're always going to put themselves around wherever their victims are. So a school teacher, and you think, oh God, 30 kids to a classroom. They did this for what? 15 years. You start thinking of all of the opportunities. How many people went into Sean Combs' studios or into his business trying to get a record deal? How many people did he get to work that, well, I can make you a rich and famous deal? I mean, he had an unlimited supply of victims. An unlimited supply of victims. And the ones that he really liked victimizing, he could make them famous and keep them around. All right, hold on. Save the children. This is I think I'll end with this because this is damn important. This is I think this is a big one. Yeah, methaqualone. They were doing it with ludes back in the day. They're real hard to get these days. The college basketball case, Gordon, everyone has settled in that. There were a lot of lawsuits from that, the last of which got settled, I mean, just recently, it's a couple of years ago. They've been in and out of court for that forever. They're not gonna bring criminal charges on that. They're just not. Titty cakes, says Rebecca. In my home state, there's a lot of kids missing daily. Summer Wells, Sebastian Rogers, Joe Clyde, Daniels. Tennessee has a major problem. Save the children. One of the biggest problems with people that come out and tell these unbelievable stories that come right out of a film like Eyes Wide Shut is that now there are people, right, who are questioning, the tunnels, that are questioning the kids, that are questioning all of these things that we really were getting some traction, right? There are people telling their stories who are credible. There are people that are showing up now, and it's just like the book. This is a payday for people that come out. And if it's disturbing to think of two people getting together and saying, let's grab this story, make it our own, and see how much money we can get off of people. Now, if you watch the video that was made on the Lionel B show, that's not at all what they say. What they say is this is a great big misunderstanding. If I told a story tonight, hey Murph, good to see you. If I told a story tonight, right, on the lifeboat, and the story was what you did last Saturday, right? You wouldn't go, oh, Tommy made an accident. You know what I mean? It's a mistake. I mean, it's odd because I went to Starbucks first thing in the morning last Saturday, and then I went to pick up my son at karate, and then I went. And if I listed off everything that you had done, you'd be like, yeah, that's really freaking weird. This is maybe the most disturbing thing. I'm not kidding you. With everything that has taken place in the Diddyverse since I started looking into this crap, the only thing that keeps you, I get questions all the time, man. It's so dark. How does it not make you want to, jump off the wagon? What makes it easier is that most of these victims are adults. And you can sit there and go, you know what? They've made it. They need therapy, they need counseling, they need to get paid, but they've made it. They're adults. They didn't take themselves out, right? That kind of stuff, honestly, makes things a lot easier for me, right? To know that these people are adults and that they're healthy. The most disturbing thing, honestly, is somebody that can look at this and say, oh yeah, this is an angle, right? This is an angle. I'm gonna come out and I'm gonna lie about this and I'm gonna get paid. I don't want to believe that's where we're at in humanity. But there's no other way to look at this other than how it looks. And how it looks is, it looks like Adria English brought in her friend named Misha, and Misha claimed to be Anna Kane and took Anna Kane's lawsuit story, made it her own. I guess assumed that the real Jane Doe would never out herself. So, and I mean, it makes you wonder, did they have a discussion? Hey, it's a Jane Doe. Right? The Jane Doe's never going to say who it is. We'll just claim you're her. If you listen to the statement she made on the Lionel B show, she said, I never wanted her to say anything about the D&G shirt. Really weird way to say it. If she had said, I don't know why the hell she said I was the woman in that shirt. That's nuts. What she said was, I didn't want her to say, like you guys talked about it ahead of time, or really, really weird. But I will, I've said a million times, I'll say a million more times, I have the wrong equipment to doubt a woman when she says she was SA'd. It's never going to happen. Never going to happen. Got the wrong tool between my legs. Never am I going to say something like that. Men have been telling women stuff like that since the dawn of man. I'm not going to be one of them. It's not going to happen. But I will tell you this. If I think somebody is completely full of crap, I will tell you that. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think that Misha was not SA'd. I would never feel comfortable saying that. I think Misha's full of shit. I think a lot of the rest of her story is such garbage that I can't believe the things that she says. Doesn't mean that those things didn't happen to her. What it means is I don't want to hear the story about it. May absolutely have happened to you, right? But I don't want to hear the story anymore. Because you might take what happened to you and create a whole new narrative around it. Once you've done that, you lose a lot of credibility. I'm sorry, you do. And I sure as hell don't want to hear the story where 500,000 people can hear it by the end of today. And maybe we do need to be a little bit more careful as content creators, right? Maybe we do. I don't know. I don't have a lot of people on. You know what I mean? I get really, really nervous platforming people. I don't put a lot of people on my channel. The people that I have on, I know they're homeboys. We're going to talk about stuff like prison. I'm not going to ask people to come out and break stories that could turn out to be BS. If I'm going to, then I probably will do a decent amount of research on the people beforehand. At least try to find out a decent timeline, right? And I'm not going in blind. If the first time he heard the story about the snake venom in the drinks was when he was live, that's a problem, right? Think about it. I don't want to hear that story the first time when I'm live because I would have had to say, boy, that sounds a lot like Eyes Wide Shut. You ain't making this up, are you? Right? Because this seems a little jacked. I think it's probably a pretty good idea to do these things ahead of time. Maybe, and I prefer doing interviews without giving someone a chance to know what the questions are or any of those things. I really do. But if you're letting somebody come on and make some allegations, right? This person that's coming on is going to tell you that there is a man out there, or maybe more than one man out there, that SA'd them. Harv Pierre might be the biggest scumbag on earth. We already know Diddy is. But Harv Pierre didn't touch that girl. And she's been going on the air for how long saying, that man SA'd me. That's disturbing, peeps. That is effing disturbing. That is disturbing. I'm sorry, it is. Really, really disturbing. And I hate this crap. I want all of us on the same side at all times. I want all of us pulling in the same direction at all times. I want everybody to be telling the truth except Diddy. And I know we all feel the same way, man. You know? I know we all feel the same way. And I hope we handled this here with tact. I'm not beating on Lionel B. I'm not. I don't beat on content creators. I feel for Lionel B. If he's a manager for these ladies, that's a little bit more disturbing. That's not just platforming somebody. But that said, I didn't hear that from him. I heard that from one of them said that. And I'll be honest, neither of them at this point have a nickel's worth of credibility around here. I'm sorry. I know I'm going to make friends, but there's just credibility is something that you earn. Russ will tell you, right? Casper will tell you. Bullshit somebody in prison and watch what happens. For real. Once somebody finds out you're a liar, once somebody finds out you lie about anything, you're done. You're done. Your credibility's gone. And when that credibility is gone, you're screwed. You're screwed. It's all you got. I've said this before on the boat, but the old men will tell you inside, that when you come in there, they take everything away from you the second you walk through the door, right? They take your clothing. Everybody dresses the same. They take your identity. They take everything. So the only thing you got when you walk through is your onions, right? All you got is your onions and your word. And if your word isn't any good, then your onions better be, because you're going to get in a lot of fights. Your word is your bond. And if your word isn't any good, your fist better be. You better be quick with them. You better have pause, because if you don't, it's going to get real ugly real quick. All right, folks, I'm keeping this one short. And do you know why? Because my back is really on the mend, and I don't ever sit down unless I'm live. So I'm going to stand up and get back to doing healthy things for my back. Thank you for spending time with me. I really do appreciate you. I will see you all in the next one between now and this evening for Night Yard. Lucinda, good to see you. Between now and the next time I see you, please reach out and try to save somebody. All right. I am the Admiral Tommy. Love you too, Reese. I am the Admiral Tommy, and I will see you on the next one.